Bases dropped on a new round of soccer down here. Once again, I always cut off the top of my head on the Twitch side of things. I always cut off the top. Well, maybe it's because my hair is just bigger than normal. I don't know. But, yeah, bases dropped on another round of soccer down here. Hi, how was your morning? Busy morning for us here and for you there because we still have a lot to talk about from yesterday with the men's national team and the 1-1 draw against Wales. And for those of you that had the coffee on early this morning, it was a good reason to do it. And right now we have match number 2 of 4 going on right now with Denmark and Tunisia. They are goalless at the start of the second half. A big save by Schmeichel to keep it goalless. Tunisia, once again, not showing any kind of fear whatsoever in dealing with the Denmark side. So it is literally what you guys want to talk about, as always, on Tuesday Thoughts. We're kind of keeping an eye on Denmark and Tunisia. We're going to talk about Argentina and Saudi Arabia. And by the way, on the nighttime program that's going to be released on the network like we did yesterday, you'll hear the calls from Telemundo, and you'll also hear the Saudi Arabia call, which was very, very cool. So that's kind of what we want to do with the nighttime show, is just kind of give you some highlights and give you some sound and get you ready for the day that is when it comes to the competition going on and the host nation is up and running. Morning, Sean. Yes, it is. I will grant you that. Rack really wanted to win for the birthday. Going to take the tie. Going to be a slog to get to the next stage now, though. Yeah, and Rack, I think, before we get into opening kickoff, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com, and I'll show the QR code over my face like I always do. I think I don't think so, Ricky, but we'll get into that in just a sec. I think, I mean, and correct me, guys, if my assessment is wrong in this, but I think that everyone in the group is going to be beating themselves up against Iran, and it's going to come down to what Wales does against Iran and what the United States does against Iran, and in trying to mitigate your goal difference against England. So I think that's where you're looking when you're looking for your number 2 out of the group. So wasting no time, and traditionally it's Jared Smith. See now. All right, I'm just going to go ahead and Man, so did you set your alarm for like dark 30 this morning?
No, I did not wake up that early. I woke up at 8 o'clock normal time for watching soccer. Still got it on the background, obviously. Did not wake up for the drama that clearly unfolded this morning.
Yeah, no, it's Bart Keeler hanging out with us here for SoccerForUS pod. So. For those that missed it, the preview of SoccerForUS for the competition going on with the host nation that I'm really not going to mention by name, did it blend in with the match preview that you had in the episode? How close was your analysis to what actually went down?
I think actually I was a little surprised at how especially that first half, everything played out, because we thought it would, right? We thought, oh yeah, Wales is going to sit back a little bit and let us come at them. I was a little surprised that Wales was as committed to that in the first half as they were. And then obviously they, in the second half, decided to be a little bit more adventurous, put us under a lot more defensive pressure, and ended up that's why they got their goal. But no, it was surprising how well that match played out compared to how we had kind of predicted it, especially in that first half.
Jared Smith joining us. Good morning, Jared.
Good morning.
And we are in analysis of yesterday's match in the afternoon involving the United States. Now that you've had a good 12 hours at least to analyze it in your brain, what's your 30,000-foot takeaway?
Disappointing, but it's the same thing I have in all aspects of sport, in that we have to draw this line where We balance criticism with also getting credit because Wales, whatever they did in the first half didn't work. They give up a goal to the United States. They probably should have given up two. Could have given up more. That game could have been over at halftime if the United States is more efficient at what they do. They made a change in their game plan, and USA didn't adjust and didn't keep up the pressure and basically didn't counterpunch. And then, even despite all that, you are Walker Zimmerman going through Gareth Bale away from still escaping with a 1-0 win. And I think a good lesson out of all of that, if that happens, like you take away the lesson of, okay, we gotta tighten up a bit. But at the end of the day, you still just one goal you gave up because you're the center back who was supposed to be the Rock, while Tim Marine put on a hell of a performance. The guy who was supposed to be the Rock went through Gareth Bale in a terrible moment because Gareth Bale's not facing goal. We talk about this all the time with like young defenders. We talked about it with Atlanta because we ran into it with Atlanta sometimes with some of the younger guys on the field. When the attacker is facing away from the goal, you don't have to go through him like this. Body him up. Don't go stabbing at the ball between his legs. Don't be so reckless in that moment. It's not like he's bringing it down facing goal inside the 6-yard box. It's just outside the 6. He's facing away from goal. Like, if you want to talk about a good foul in that game, it's Kellen Acosta picked up the most important yellow card of his life.
Yes.
Because he kept Gareth Bale from pulling a Zlatan in the United States. Now, you want to see people really pissed off? Imagine if that had come off. Good job, Kellen Acosta. But, yeah, I mean, for me, it was disappointing because it's weird to have this conversation because I don't ever want to take anything away from what Wales is capable of.
No. But I think that you can do.
You were good enough to get out of there with 3 points. They made changes you didn't.
I think we should have.
I
think
so.
Jared, I want to address something that's going on in the comments. I want to address something that's going on social media. Yes, Walker Zimmerman made a bad mistake at a bad time. 100% correct. Walker Zimmerman was very good the rest of the game. Tim Marine was very good the rest of the game. I don't think he, watching the replays and watching it last night, I don't necessarily think he was making a challenge on Gareth Bale. I think he was trying to step into the ball to try to win it before another Wales player did. I don't think it was, oh, let me challenge Gareth Bale. He just got beat to the spot. Gareth Bale got there, had his back turned, and drew a foul because Gareth Bale is, shockingly to no one, better than any player we have on our team. Let's just be real honest about that. So yes, Walker Zimmerman, quote, the best defender in MLS, made a mistake because all defenders make mistakes, right? He got beat to the spot by one of the best players of this generation. Flat out, that is a fact. However, if you want to put blame on why we did not get the win, look at Greg Berhalter and his inability to adjust to to two things. One thing I'll blame Greg Berhalter for very distinctly, and I'm sorry my voice is still a little shot from yesterday. I can't imagine why.
I know. Right?
One thing I'll blame him for very distinctly, Weston McKennie should not have started the second half. He should not have come out of the half time break and started playing. We should have put Brendan Aronson in. It was very clear from like minute 50 on that Weston was just struggling. You could tell. That was a mistake by Berhalter. He should have probably either made that change at half or made that change a lot sooner than it did because it didn't come until minute 64. And Brendan Aronson should have been in that match a lot earlier. And then he never made any real tactical adjustments to how we were going to deal with Wales being a little bit more direct, being a little more adventurous in the attack. They were definitely trying to push a little bit more numbers forward. So yes, Walker Zimmerman made a mistake. 100% he should not have made that mistake. But why were we in that position consistently under pressure when Berhalter refused to make any real changes? And the ones he did, I'm sorry, DeAndre Edlin, not a defensive like stalwart, like that was a weird sub to me. And I know that he's got the World Cup experience is fine, but like I don't think of DeAndre Edlin as a guy who's going to lock down your defense for you, And I think Greg deserved a lot of questions for why Gio Reyna didn't play and Jordan Morris did. And I think that his reasoning about physicality or whatever is quite honestly bullcrap because you needed a goal. And you know who's going to get you a goal? Gio Reyna. He does that consistently week in and week out for Dortmund. And I think Greg Berhalter deserves a lot more criticism than Walker Zimmerman for one bad moment.
No, I don't disagree. And it's confusing to me because the Gio Reyna thing, there were so many narratives going along afterward of, was he hurt? Because, Greg said, he was, that he, I think it said it was a hamstring that he tweaked.
Yeah.
Like, and if that's the case and he's not 100% and you want to save him for England, man, just say that. Like,
right.
Don't beat around the bush in this cryptic. Don't be a college football coach out here like trying to speak in Da Vinci Code about stuff. Like, hey, he tweaked his hamstring and I want to save him for England.
Yeah, a little bit of muscle tightness that we were guarding against. That was what.
Yeah, and if you want to say, hey, his muscles were tight and we were saving him for England because I think he's going to be an important player for that game, then say that. People might disagree with it, but you don't have to be. This doesn't have to be the Da Vinci Code. You don't have to be the Zodiac killer about framing this. You don't. And yes, he deserves he deserves plenty of criticism for the way all of that unfolded about not properly adjusting. Man, I don't know. I'm with you. Like I don't mean to bag on.
Oh, I'm not saying you were specifically, but there were multiple people in this comment section bagging on Walker Zimmerman and then bragging on MLS because of Walker Zimmerman. There are plenty of great defenders who make that same mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's because I don't mean to bag on Walker. He had a good game overall.
But Soccer America gave him a 2. Soccer America on a 1.
I mean, look, if you want to give him a 2 for that mistake, sure. If that's your only reason, I think that's still ludicrous.
Let's also look at the fact that are we gonna ding the attack for not doing more to give you more than a 1-goal lead after because I shared the heat. Oh, what's up?
One shot.
Yeah, one shot.
One shot on target.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I will also, and I know we don't count it as on target. I'll count Josh Sargent hitting the post.
Right, that's fine.
That's good. Like that was a good moment. Weah's early, or that's whoever put that early cross in that almost resulted in the own goal was hilarious, and it was a great ball. Like you had 3 really good moments that come to mind, and you need more than that. Yeah. You do. You need more than that. Yeah, I have plenty of criticism for the attack. Credit to Christian Pulisic for getting his ass kicked and playing really well. Credit to Timothy Weah for being that. We talked about it before this, I think, Bart, that Timothy Weah was going to be an X factor. And, dude, he went until he couldn't go anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he put in a heroic performance. I mean, obviously getting the goal, getting a shout out from Pele online. That's awesome. But yeah, it was he put in such a fantastic, and he was good the whole game. The whole game, he was really good.
Yeah, so, the discussion about Pulisic fading. Yeah, I think he was also just physically
after he's getting kicked every 15 seconds. Yeah.
Like,
I do think a fair criticism would be our set piece service was terrible, and
it was awful.
He was taking set pieces, Christian Pulisic, even after Brendan Aronson came into the game, who takes corner kicks for Leeds weekly. That was something that I expected to change, and Pulisic was still taking set pieces, and that was. I'm not gonna again. If you want to talk about why weren't we able to maximize our advantage in both the first half and in the second half, because we still had a lot of possession in the second half. We never capitalized on any set piece. We had more corner kicks than they did. Those are opportunities to press that advantage more, and we never did. And I guess the other thing would be, okay, well, this is a Greg issue, is that why are we why then is it always, let's kick it right into the mixer? Why can't you have Christian and Anthony, or Christian and someone else do a short corner and try to work possession from there? There's so many ways to circumvent a Christian Pulisic having a bad day taking corner kicks, and we just did not adjust.
To that point, though, half of the damn fan base is in this league. Looking at you, Philadelphia. Looking at you, Red Bulls. Y'all, they thrive off the put it in the mixer thing. Like, they have some set piece plays, but I mean, plenty of
Set
teams
plays,
have
these
decided.
plays don't work when you can't put the ball in the box.
I know. Look, one of my biggest pet peeves in this sport is a set piece that cannot clear the first man. Like if you have something set up, like if you have like the classic Julie Ertz near post, basically ghost run, where she can like just turn it, that's one thing. But you're trying to actually put one in the mixer or to the back post, and you can't clear the first man. That is one of my biggest pet peeves in this sport.
Yep. And that was the thing that we're gonna have to figure out, because you can't waste those opportunities against England, when I think it's very fair that yes, England is susceptible to giving up chances, because obviously Iran, even outside of their 2 goals, still created a couple of good chances. But you can't waste corner kicks like that or any other set piece to just,
And Rock brings it up. We have Acosta subbed on too. I know that Acosta has kind of become a meme for people in the national team picture in some aspects. Kellen Acosta can hit a dead ball pretty damn well. That's another guy who you want to put somebody on a dead ball. Kellen Acosta is really pretty high up on my list of guys I want to put on a dead ball.
And and since we're in the Pulisic discussion, Rack wants to know why no one else takes set pieces in the second half when it's clear Pulisic is in Strugglesville. That's another $15,000 question.
This is again where Greg Berhalter does not deviate from plan A. His plan B is do plan A better. And that's been a criticism of Greg for eternity, even when he was a club coach, and that's just how he is.
Let's get into what Sean brings to the table this morning. Tyler Adams was our best player. I'll take this in 2 sentences. Tyler Adams was our best player. His second sentence was, that's not a good sign. But Tyler Adams yesterday, Bart, what do you think?
Oh, bull crap. 1. Sorry. Tyler Adams was your best player because he's a fantastic soccer player. And honestly, in a game like that, you need your defensive midfielder to be your best player to clean up all the crap that Wales is throwing at you.
Because of the way Wales is playing. Wales, I shared the heat map yesterday of the first half. I'm sorry, the touch map of the first half.
Yeah.
Wales had 4 touches in the final third. One of those was a corner in the first half. To Bart's point, and I agree completely, like you're 6, whatever you want to call him positionally, that dude has to be on his game, because for most of that game, Wales isn't going to dominate possession. They're going to be waiting for you. This is the whole thing with the idea of just shoot more from distance, just, force that pass in. When Wales packs it in, go back and look at the space between the lines for Wales, because there wasn't any between the midfield and their back line, the way they played. Yeah, there was nothing there. It goes back to, let's talk about a boogeyman for a minute, because there's a lot of y'all in Atlanta that ain't gonna listen to this. Let's talk about what Frank DeBoer said in the past about, the concept of in possession, you want things to end with the ball either going out of play in the back of the net or with a foul. You don't want those live ball turnovers, because that's what Wales feasted on. And I know it frustrates people when the U.S. does if you look at the passing map where it's a lot of back and forth, they're swinging the ball around trying to find holes. Wales is begging you to try and force that ball into a half space where they can force a turnover, and Gareth Bale gets released to a race, and then you have Gareth Bale racing Walker Zimmerman. It's tough, because you do want to be able to take those opportunities and you want to be aggressive in them, but you also have to balance it with the fact that if you try and force something and get sloppy, Wales is going to hit you going the other way. Ask Ukraine how that works. It can get really weird really fast, and it's really frustrating to play against, and you can't just launch from 40 yards every time.
And sitting here staring at the numbers once again. Let me go through the numbers brought to us by Soccer America. And like I said, I mentioned Walker Zimmerman got a 2, which I don't think I've ever seen before in their ratings. Matt Turner challenged occasionally, got a 5. Dest and Anthony Robinson got 5s. Tim Ream got a 6. Walker Zimmerman got the 2. So here's how Soccer America phrased it. Walker Zimmerman, once hailed for bringing experience to a young squad, ruined the night for the USA by fouling with a tackle that was not only unnecessary, Gareth Bale had his back to goal, but clumsy and reckless. Perhaps Qatari referee Abdul Rahman Al Jassim was too occupied calling the penalty kick he forgot to caution Zimmerman, leaving two U.S. backline starters not carrying yellow cards.
Well, first off, that's not a yellow card foul in the penalty area. It wasn't dog-so or anything. No. It was just a foul in the penalty area. So Soccer America gets zero credit for any of that rating for that alone. Grossly misunderstanding the loss of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Midfield, Weston McKennie a 4, Tyler Adams got a 6. Considering what we saw from Tyler Adams, I would say that's
6.
Higher.
He got a 6.
Yeah. So Soccer America, y'all need to. I don't know.
Drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yunus Musa got a.
No, they're not drunk, Jarrett. That's the problem.
It might be.
God, that's right.
Yeah.
You know what? That probably would have been more enjoyable for everyone in the stadium if they were drunk.
Oof. Well, but it would have had to have been on Bud's.
We had beer at Fido yesterday. That's all I'm saying.
There you go. Musa a 5, Sargent a 5, Weah a 7, Pulisic a 6. All the subs got a 4 except for Jordan Morris, who was only in for 10 minutes and got the incomplete. You got the NR, no rating. So
Jordan Morris scoring the game-winning goal there would have put so much of this fan base in hell, and I was begging for it to happen.
That would have been nice.
It would have been basically like 60% of the U.S. fan base would have just been the Larry David gif of.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what would have happened? We were in our Discord chat discussing it. It would have been a ball coming into him. It hits his foot, bounces straight up, goes off of his nose, breaks his nose, then ricochets off the post, and then off of his knee as he's laying on the ground to go in. It'd have been the dumbest, most cartoonish goal you've ever seen, and that would have been how Jordan Morris won the game.
Yes.
Well, it wouldn't have come off a corner kick, so we know that much.
Yeah. Niall, you'll get punished by England if you don't take chances. I'm absolutely terrified about Friday.
Nothing about Friday changes. Like, I think that's something that people were like, oh my God, we didn't beat Wales. Now no, we don't. The Friday game was still always going to be the toughest game. And the game where, I mean, yes, there's a little pressure to maybe try to go get a result. I think that, but like, if you weren't trying to get a result from this game in the first place, what were you doing?
Mm-hmm.
So yes, to your point, if we don't take our chances, especially off of set pieces, that's going to be a problem. If we don't defend set pieces better, that's going to be a problem. You're absolutely right. But these things were true before yesterday. So this game, the game state doesn't change. Like, and honestly, a draw against Wales was always the most likely result, y'all.
Yeah.
So like, the game
I also
state,
feel like we're really understating Wales' quality. Like,
Wales may damn well also tie England or beating. Like, they could pull a shocker, or they could also just not score against Iran. The two things could happen. So,
and to Bart's point, we will know. Remember, the Iran-Wales game goes off before United States.
Yes,
England does. We'll have a good idea of what needs to happen, because it could end up with a very interesting situation of, what are we looking at here? Where does Wales beat Iran? Because here's the thing about yesterday. That was an exhausting game.
Oh, no doubt.
Those guys are going to be gassed. U.S. is going to be gassed for England, and Wales is going to be gassed for Iran. Now, I think Wales will absolutely get up for England for the last game day. They will want to do everything they can to put a knife into England's hamstring. How much energy will they have to do it, though?
Yeah. That's the thing about Friday is I do wonder what Wales's game plan is, because I mean, I'm not joking when I say Wales-Iran could be 0-0. Like, it's not a matchup of teams that love to score. It's not a matchup of teams that love to have possession. I do think Iran clearly proved that they're not quite up to the level that we expected them to be. But I'm very cautious to make any grand statements about anything after the first round of matches, because they went about as much as we could have predicted. Sorry.
I wonder if, considering that we saw Gareth Bale starting against the United States, I wonder if his minutes are curtailed against Iran, so he's ready to start and run a full 90 against England. Just because of what we saw from Iran or what we didn't see from Iran, or maybe if we pay Carlos Queiroz, he'll tell us what he did or didn't see. But no, I wonder if we see a trimmed back or limited version of Gareth Bale in the Iran match, so he's ready for the England match. That's, like I said, I think that's what I'm wondering in this particular case when it comes to Wales here. But Michael Head bringing in the idea of, once again, his concern yesterday when I asked about concerns and confidences, Michael brought in yesterday one of his concerns: can the U.S. score? He raises the concern again. Valid
question.
Valid or no?
It was a question. No, it's 100% the question that we had before the tournament, and it still remains the question. Again, we outplayed Wales significantly in the first half. We had two moments where I think goals could have been scored. One of those resulted in a goal. I don't, Michael, I'm going to push back a little bit because I agree with you. I don't think it's can the U.S. score. I think it's can the U.S. create enough goal scoring opportunities, because that was the issue yesterday. Is you only had 6 shots. Wales had more shots than you did. They had more on target than you did. And even in the second half, Wales did not have as much possession as you did. So it's not about shots or scoring. It's about how many goal scoring opportunities do you create. And we just didn't create enough yesterday because the Berhalter system continues to prove to not be able to create enough goal scoring opportunities to truly yield success. But I still think that's good enough to get out of the group. That's still my stance.
Because I figure that everyone is going to be beating themselves up against Iran and trying to run up the score and the goal difference. We're going to have math here. I think math is how we figure out who the 2 is from the teams that try to score as many goals as humanly possible against Iran. That's what I think. It's going to come down to goal difference with Wales and the U.S. versus what happened with Iran and trying to mitigate your damage against England and try to get out of group. Like I said, that's me. I think math is involved here by the time we're done. My own personal opinion. Update, 20 minutes to go, less than 20 to go, 18 to go. Denmark and Tunisia are goalless. Denmark just had another opportunity cleared off the line by the defense that was started by a Christian Eriksen corner kick. So Tunisia has been hanging. Tunisia has been hanging with Denmark. Bart did not get up early this morning. Jarrett,
I woke up at 8. That's early for me.
Well, that's right there with you.
I woke up at 7:30. The only reason I woke up is my child came into my room.
Right there with you, brother. None of us got up early this morning to see Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Actually, first, Bart, let me ask you, when do you turn into a real-world pumpkin?
We got about 5 minutes.
Okay, so then we'll start the discussion with Saudi Arabia and Argentina. Whoa, buddy. I mean, this is a Keith Jackson, one of those kind of moments, man. I mean, good on Saudi Arabia for not backing into a corner and packing 13 behind the ball like they're playing CFL football, And you get 2 goals in 5 minutes. One of them was an absolute golazo from the top of the box. And Saudi Arabia gets the Duke, and now everybody's now freaking out about Argentina.
Look, I think, at least from what I saw, the stats of the game and the time on to the game, it's not like Argentina didn't put the ball in the back of the net. So they had several disallowed goals due to offside, which fair enough, they were offside. But
true, yeah.
Those are margins that if things are a foot or an inch the other way, you're looking at Argentina winning.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, credit to Saudi Arabia. It's a fantastic result for them. Huge congrats. They're obviously now in the driver's seat in a group that also includes Mexico, Poland, who may cancel each other out today.
Yeah.
But if you're going to sit here and tell me that Argentina is still not good enough to beat both Mexico and flat out beat Mexico and Poland, I think you're wrong. Chill. It's okay. that's Argentina lost. That was a great result for Saudi Arabia. They still have the opportunity to get out of the group. It's just going to be harder on them now.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're staring at here. Saudi Arabia had a moment. They had a fantastic moment for their national football program, and now once again it's up to Argentina. And Jared, I think it goes back to your original point that we were discussing about Wales and the United States. it's okay to give credit to the team with the lower ranking that won or drew in the Wales US case. It's okay to give credit to the opponent against the team that everyone is paying attention to going into the match. It's okay to give credit.
It is, and it's okay to be. It's okay to play to look at this in a great term of both things can be true, because you can
Yes.
give credit to Wales, you can give credit to Saudi Arabia, and you can
Sport is
still
not mutually exclusive.
You can still absolutely feel like the U.S. bit the bit.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. As far as this goes, yeah, like Argentina scored in the 10th minute. They put the ball in the back of the net 3 more times before halftime, I think, or 3 times before the 50th minute.
Yeah.
One of those offsides is like 3 inches, by the way.
Yes.
It's correct, because again, offside is a black and white rule. There is no like I lose my mind every time I see like some talking head on ESPN do like, like, or when they do the instant replay on MLS Digital about like, well, if it's that close, no. If you're gonna if you're gonna be eye testing it, that's one thing. If you're gonna bring in, semi-automated offside in the World Cup, then it's going to be giving you the black and white answer of yes or no.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the way it works. There's no like, well, if it looks that close, we should give it to him. But the rule is black and white, offside, onside. There is no, well, he made a good run and, this, that, or the other reason. Like, take it up with the structure of the rule itself. I know there's been that discussion about changing the rules so that instead of any part being offside, any part of the attacking player being onside. Similar, I guess, John, to the way hockey does offside, where just drag that last skate across the blue line.
Yes.
And stay onside.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you've got a problem with the rule, then flip the rule 180 degrees.
Yeah. Take it up. Take it up with the rule. I have issues with more rules than applications half the time with this damn sport.
Mm-hmm.
Argentina put the ball in the back of net 4 times. Only one of them counted. Saudi Arabia played a very risky game. It worked 3 out of 4 times because they got the offside called on disallowed goals. They played a wildly risky game, and they didn't back down, and they didn't get scared, and they got 3 points out of it. And now this group becomes an absolute bloodbath, and I'm very excited for it as a neutral viewer. I know people like Jason, who are self-professed Argentina fans, are going to be in a special level of hell dealing with this. I'm sorry. I hope you're all okay. Mexico fans, you too. It's gonna be interesting because at noon we're going to see blood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think this puts a lot of pressure on both Mexico and Poland.
No doubt.
And if you get a win, if Mexico or Poland win today, you have to like their chances now.
Oh,
to
absolutely.
win, right? Because
100%.
Argentina is going to have an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. You still give Mexico and Poland the odd favorite to beat Saudi Arabia, right? So you're looking at possibly having 6 points. And all you got to have is maybe a result against Argentina, who will be pressing. It does make this group a lot more interesting. But yeah, credit to Saudi Arabia for a great game plan and executing it well and getting, I don't want to say lucky, but things went the way that they needed it to go.
There you go. All right, so Bart, you turned into a real world pumpkin. I was gonna say Bart and I are both looking at the action like what?
Sorry, no.
Oh, not soccer related. Okay, it's like, oh my god.
No, not oh my god about Tunisia and Denmark. Oh my god, that Mexico is gonna have to, like, depending on what happens today with Poland, they might need the win more than anybody, because Mexico is gonna have to play a really pissed off Argentina.
Ooh.
And that's not something I would want to do.
Yeah,
no. Argentina's going to be totally pissed off, and they're going to want to run Mexico into the ground, resurrect them, and do it again.
We're mad. I'm digging you up. All right, I'm killing you again. Bart, as you well know, you have golden ticket status, so you get the link every morning, and whenever you want to crash, you can crash until your real world overlords have the power over you, where you have to end up going.
I got trade show signage to write today, so
sit there. Here's all you need to do: trade show with an arrow. Buy our stuff with an arrow. Something incredibly insightful like that. Yeah. Then your mission is over.
Buy our cables. Thank you.
Yes, there you go. Buy our cables. Go ahead and plug everything you need to plug.
Yeah. So hopefully recording a reaction episode for Soccer for Us tonight and releasing that tomorrow. That's the goal there. Hopefully my voice is just slightly more recovered for that. But hey, you know what? That's the fun of the World Cup, right?
Your voice is better than Rob Stone's right now. That's all we
Oh my gosh. Bless his heart. Follow me on Twitter at BartimusPrime19. Follow at SoccerForUS Pod for that. Obviously, if you want to come to a great big old watch party, we'll be at the West End Brewery Compound, whatever you want to call it. We'll be at the Wild Heaven facility, and then there's a party going on, I think, at Monday night as well. But hey, that's the place to be if you're an Atlanta soccer fan on Friday. Your options are, stay around your family, go Black Friday shopping, or come get drunk and watch soccer. So, hey, there are your options. I hope you choose wisely.
And it's the U.S. and England, so you need to really choose your options wisely. Yeah. Well, Bart, enjoy your signage, and obviously, as I've said, you got golden ticket status, so you get the link every morning. You crash when you want to crash. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sean. Have a great one, Jarrett.
All right, Bart Keeler, SoccerForUS POD, SoccerForUS Pod, and we're now down to under 10 minutes with Denmark and Tunisia, with everything going on there. When we look at, and this is one of the things that we kind of got into in our production thread this morning. For those who got up early, I commend you. I salute you. I absolutely, for those that wanted to get up early to watch Argentina, Saudi Arabia, truly, 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 I tip my hat to you. It was one of the 4 matches of the day. But that's the thing. It's like the sport doesn't have to be mutually exclusive. You can have both things be true, and we're seeing that with Saudi Arabia and with the analysis of Argentina. That's exactly what we're seeing here, is that it's okay for a team that doesn't back down and plays well defensively and has a golazo in another moment. It's okay to do that. So it's not just completely and totally just ishing on Argentina, because once again, Saudi Arabia did not back down here. So great result for them. Let me get the numbers really quickly and let you know. Let's see, I got the numbers with the trying to figure out, where was it? Where did I see it? Let's see. 35-game unbeaten string for Argentina snapped. Saudi Arabia arrived with 4 victories, 6 defeats, and 7 draws in their past 17 matches. So that's what you were looking at getting into that particular dynamic. KFC going with time zone issues for Argentina. It's a terrible excuse, but it didn't. Yeah, none of us saw it. Legitimately, none of us saw it. And like I said, you tip your hat to Saudi Arabia, and it turns the group into that much more of a mess. Because once again, you're looking at 11 o'clock after we're off the air here for the live version, and you listen to the tape version of us later in the afternoon. Mexico and Poland's at 11. And legitimately, like I said, I'm watching more of the action on Telemundo, by the way. And you're seeing Telemundo working, and we got 6 minutes plus any added time left there. Denmark and Tunisia, they're goalless. Mexico and Poland at 11 o'clock. Current juice boxes, Mexico is a plus 161. Your draw is a plus 204, and Poland is basically the same thing. So Poland and the draw are basically the same thing in and around plus 205. France and Australia is your 2 o'clock. And it was interesting to see Sky this morning discussing the jinx of, how did they phrase it? I mean, it was like, really? The World Cup champions curse. The World Cup champions curse is what they were looking at. Didier Deschamps' side took the crown 4 years ago. And once again, this was written by Peter Smith at Sky Sports. Deschamps' side took the crown 4 years ago in Russia, and while their form has been mixed since then, the last 16 exit at the Euro has been a Nations League triumph. They go to Qatar confident of a strong defense of their title despite contending with an injury-ravaged squad. Once again, remember, there's no covering Benzema. France have been deprived of the regular central midfield pairing of Pogba and N'Golo Kante, as well as defender Presnel Kimpembe, striker Christopher Nkunku, and most recently the Ballon d'Or recipient Karim Benzema. They will have to break an established cycle of disappointment, too. The past 4 teams from Europe to win the World Cup have gone out of the following tournament at the group stage, including France's 1998 heroes. It's a streak which stretches back to that France team who were victorious on home soil, then flopped in Japan and South Korea, and in Russia saw Germany knocked out for the first round for the first time since 1938. The last European team to pack up a successful World Cup with a decent run was unified Germany in 1994, who reached the quarterfinals after West Germany won the 1990 tournament in Italy. Can France, and this is the question, who have been drawn to face Denmark, Australia, Tunisia in their initial group stage, buck this strange trend? France, champions 98, group stage exit 2002. Italy, champions 06, group stage exit 2010. Spain, champions 2010, group stage exit 2014. Germany, champions 2014, group stage exit 2018. So that's where we are. Did not know about this trend, for those of you that believe in those kinds of things. And, Shooter, you're right. I mean, I think that Shooter, you're right on. I think Argentina wins the next 2. OG, when the early alarm went off this morning, I was just, maybe let's go to bed earlier. If I go to bed earlier, I'm just going to still get up when I get up. So it's that's how it runs with me here. So that's what you're staring at with that group. And Rack staring at the match. Tunisia has had better chances. We're down to 4 minutes plus any added time. Jensen for Denmark just got a yellow card for fouling someone so hard that the shin pad came out from the left sock of the player from Tunisia. So that's what you were staring at there. Rack, back to the U.S. Rack giving credit to Old Man Ream. Did the job at Adams, helped the back line a lot. So, yes, absolutely true. Shooter, only positive the back line. They were solid. The penalty was unlucky. And so Shooter, of course, says, I knew Bale was going to score just like an MLS Cup, and I can't even hate on him because at the end of the day, he did the Union's franchise. So there you go. Rack, about the match that we're keeping an eye on. Dever has had several world-class saves. Yes, Schmeichel had one in the first half. Absolutely. Shooter, discussing the U.S., simply, we're toast. Let's see. Yeah, and Abby with don't want home to prove anything, just want to freaking win and score. Rack about Jordan Morris. Don't have the hate for Jordan Morris that a lot do, but sometimes feels like Greg just wants to prove he's smarter than anyone. So Niall had Zimmerman as a 7, considering what we saw from Soccer America giving out a 2. And then Niall had Adams as a 10. Rich, Rich from The Guardian this morning, letting it load. Yes, and we were going to get into that. That was the opening kickoff, actually. So since, Rich, since you brought it up, I'm going to go ahead and bring it in as a part of the opening kickoff. Once again, opening kickoff, 45 minutes into the show, brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee. KickoffCoffeeCO.com. And once again, that's your QR code there. You can follow them at Kickoff Coffee CO on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram at Kickoff Coffee CO. Use the code Soccer Down Here 15. You get 15% off of your purchase. And they in turn take 10% of the proceeds and reinvest them into the youth game. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee CO, KickoffCoffeeCO.com. So, yes, I was going to get into that this morning. Pep Guardiola from Manchester City has agreed to a new 2-year contract extension, committing him to the club until 2025. Report claims the contract will be an initial 1-year deal, with both club and manager holding an option for the next season. So it means either party could choose to end it sooner if they wanted. Structure's the same as the contract that he signed back in November of 2020. This is from Ornstein, Paul Ballas, and Sam Lee. This happened before we all, unless you were watching Argentina and Saudi Arabia and then took a nap after, before we all woke up this morning. Existing deal ran until the end of this year. Guardiola joined Manchester City back in 2016 after spells in charge of Barcelona and Bayern Munich. 4 Premier League titles, 1 FA Cup, 4 League Cups. Champions League final in 2020-2021, which they lost to Chelsea. Second in the Premier League table, 5 points behind Arsenal right now. Qualified for the knockout stage of Champions League. They take on RB Leipzig in the round of 16, and they're through to the 4th round of the EFL Cup after beating Chelsea. Guardiola said earlier this month he considered it unlikely he will find a better club to manage than Manchester City, raising expectations. He would extend a contract due to expire in 23. He said, quote, and would I stay in another place for 7 years? I don't think so. It's difficult to find what I have here as a manager. To be a manager for a long time, you need to be supported. So supported. The results help a lot. That is undeniable. In this world, they sack you, they fire you. We know that. But at big clubs, part of the success of the manager is the chairman, the sporting director especially, the CEOs, and all the people here. Goes to the media, fans, and players. There is stability. This is why I think only in few clubs this can happen. End quote. The midseason break to accommodate the ongoing World Cup in Qatar was seen as an excellent opportunity for Guardiola and City to discuss their shared future, with an official announcement expected imminently. So Pep Guardiola continues with his time at Manchester City for 1, if not 2 additional years. So, yeah, so much from the DJ, so much for his dream of Pep taking over the USMNT next year. And, yeah, he's probably out for – well, but, I mean, the contract goes to 25. Just saying. So the contract goes till 2025. Still room for 26. You know, maybe just not next year, Tom or Emilio. Maybe later. Remember, you know, he could be coaching NYCFC too, as well, as a part of the discussion. So, all right, we're halfway through added time with Denmark and Tunisia. It is still goalless. We'll go over the group look after the final 2.5 minutes have been played here. We'll go over the group standings for the matches that have been played. And we'll get you through all of the other news that's fit to print this morning. And we will get you ready for Mexico and Poland. Mexico and Poland coming up at 11 o'clock. And Miguel Herrera is a part of the analysis team. They had him standing at a desk in Qatar trying to discuss things for Mexico and Poland coming up once again at 11 o'clock. Christian Eriksen looks like he's about ready to take another corner. And it also looks like there's a lot of empty seats, at least on the side where you can't see things with the camera. Okay, we've got VAR. All right, we have VAR here. And the ref, at least yesterday. Yes, and this was the other thing from yesterday. No, Amelia, like I said, I was funning a little bit. Yeah, I was funning a little bit, you know, just kind of leaving the opportunity there. Okay. Now, looking at VAR, it does pop up off the chest and hit the extended hand away from the body, and no penalty because it was a part of the body. So there we go. Okay. So a part of the body, looks like Maria, as in his defense, was judged not to use a handball. So we have 1 minute to go, at least, unless other time added on. So once again, it's part of they're saying that the position of Maria's hand, left and extended, was still a part of the body on the whole. So Dane's not pleased, and the Tunisians, they are. So once again, probably another 30 seconds added after the penalty was waved off after VAR with Denmark and Tunisia. So about a minute. And but yeah, I don't see him coming in that late in the cycle. But once again, Tom. Yeah, he might be the exception. He could be. So we'll keep an eye on that. Once again, the contract at 25, but I would see him probably coaching at NYCFC as well as a part of the whole thing. So we'll keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on that going forward. Let's see. Other news this morning as we get into everything that is that's going on. Let me see if I can find, it's like you had something lined up and then all of a sudden it just disappears on you. So that's what happens when you hit the wrong button on the computer and it eliminates everything. So the question with the World Cup was the game this morning, was it the biggest upset in World Cup history? Where does it rank when it comes to where does it rank with upsets on this or any other planet? So we'll see where that goes. Christian Eriksen, obviously, happy to be representing his team. We're now in the 6th minute, so we're on the plus side. Probably another 30 seconds, one more corner for Denmark. James Maddison did not take part in England's training session yesterday. Missed training sessions last week in the build-up to Iran. Callum Wilson on Monday didn't take part in the session, did individual conditioning work. None of the starting 11 from the match also took part in the session. Sergio Aguero has criticized his country's football association, the AFA, after he was denied entry to the team's World Cup training base ahead of their group stage opener against Saudi Arabia Tuesday. Aguero said he wanted to wish his countrymen luck before they opened their campaign, but was told the right accreditation could not be arranged in time for him to meet his former teammates. Quote, and this is a thing that Sergio Aguero likes to do. He likes to do like live streams and things. So, quote, I haven't seen the Argentina team yet. Let's see what happens. Everything's a bit weird. Supposedly, you need to have a credential to get in. It sounds weird that it takes 3 to 4 days to arrange. If they don't want me to go, it's okay. But tell me to my face. I've never hurt anyone. I've always behaved well. Maybe there are people from inside that didn't like something that I've said. I don't even remember. So Aguero played for Atletico Madrid with the decade at Manchester City. Announced his retirement at 33 in December because of a heart condition. So Aguero added, I asked and they told me that the decision comes from above, but I see that other people have been allowed inside. I've been with the Argentina team before and they arrange a credential quickly. I didn't see my friends yet. Waiting for someone inside the FA to call me to say something. I'll wait until the end of the game, but I wanted to go before because I wanted to wish him luck. It's a weird situation. So Sergio Aguero was not allowed, and it's all about credentials. So, wow, 7.5, and there's your whistle. Okay, so final, Denmark-Tunisia, goalless draw. So we'll look at the standings coming up in just a little bit. Declan Rice, when he was asked about it, revealed recent criticism of England left the players with a, quote, fire in their bellies to prove the doubters wrong at the World Cup. England went into the finals once again, 6-match winless streak, won 6-2. Quote, there were a lot of doubts about us before the tournament, a lot of talk about us not winning our last 6 matches. By our standards, with the players we've got, we know that it hasn't been good enough. But this was a World Cup stage, and you could see there was a fire in our bellies. Wanted to prove a lot of people wrong. People will say it's only Iran, but they've had some good results in past World Cups. In September, they beat Uruguay, drew Senegal. It was a real positive performance, but we can't get too ahead of ourselves. It's the USA next, and they're going to be another level up. And we played together 4 or 5 times now, Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. I said to him in the tunnel, this is your stage, go and flourish. I'll be there behind you to sweep up and give you the ball for you to go and do your thing. So there's that. All right, so yesterday, we got into all the added time that was brought forth by officials, and we got into the discussion about concussion protocol and head injuries yesterday in the Iran match specifically, where you had 24 minutes of added time. 24. 2-4. 14 minutes in the first half. 10 minutes in the second half. 14 minutes because of protocols and trying to see if the Iranian starting keeper could continue. He was judged that he could after a long evaluation. Then 5 minutes later, it was judged that he could not. Once again, when he sat down and laid down on the turf in their match against England. And that is an entirely different discussion for another day. But 24 minutes of added time. more than 45 minutes of added time with the 3 matches yesterday. 3. More than 45 minutes of added time. So it was announced that matches at the World Cup are running longer than at any other tournament after the refs were told to account for time wasting and delays. And the 4 halves of the World Cup matches with the most stoppage time since records began in 1966 were all on Monday, second day of the tournament, including the 13 minutes and 8 seconds to the second half of the 6-2 game. First half had even more time added on, 14 minutes and 8 seconds, but obviously, we were discussing the injury to Iranian keeper Alireza Berivan, treated twice before being substituted. The second halves of the U.S. match against Wales and the Netherlands encounter with Senegal both had more than 10 minutes of added time. Pierluigi Collina, FIFA ref chief, said last week that soccer's global governing body wanted to ensure as much playing time as possible, and refs had been instructed to measure stoppages accurately. He said the move was nothing new, and it was common at the World Cup in Russia in 2018, for 7, 8, or 9 minutes to be added to the minimum 90. So here's your 4 matches yesterday. Well, your 4 matches so far coming into today. Qatar and Ecuador, 100 minutes, 18 seconds. England, Iran, 117 minutes, 16 seconds. Senegal and the Netherlands, 102 minutes, 49 seconds. USA and Wales, 104 minutes, 34 seconds. Total added time coming into this match day 3, 64 minutes and 17 seconds. 64-17. That's what you're getting so far. That's what you got coming into match day 3. 64 minutes of 17 seconds of added time. We'll see if that continues going forward. For today, today's going to consist of a recovery session and rest for Welsh players. Rob Page's side, you heard him on the overnight show last night. They've taken the option not to hold an open training session for media to attend, nor will there be any media activity. Each team has the option to have one training session behind closed doors and offer no media activity on one given day. So Wales has chosen to combine those. So we'll see that. So we'll keep an eye on that. Virgil van Dijk was asked about not wearing the One Love armband. Quote, I couldn't risk, the short quote was he couldn't risk a yellow. The Dutch, one of 7 European nations, also including England and Wales, who plan to have their captains wearing the rainbow-colored One Love armband, but that idea was pulled back in unison, and they all wore the incredibly generic no discrimination armband that was sanctioned by FIFA, that was closest to what the 7 European nations thought was the message. The band is part of the year-long campaign sent out on a especially significant message in Qatar. You saw Alex Scott, the pictures on social media with her wearing it as part of her coverage for BBC. She wore the armband on the air. 7 countries dropped their plans. Orange skipper Virgil van Dijk told Dutch broadcaster NOS, quote, I play in a position where a yellow card is not useful. I became a football player and I want to play these kinds of tournaments. There are people who say we don't have a backbone, but that's not how it works. We just want to play football. I would have loved to play with that band, but not at the expense of a yellow card. Tim Thornton was asked about USA and Wales yesterday. Nabby will get into that in just a sec. Facing USA was a really crucial game for Wales' first World Cup game in 64 years. A lot of hope going into the tournament. What you don't want is to lose the first game, then really be up against it. See Argentina. Having gone behind early, it was really important. They showed spirit in the second half. Rob Page made some tactical changes at the half. Kiefer Moore made a big impact. Gareth Bale's up and running. Wales gets Iran before the USA face England, so they do have a chance to put points on the board. If England were to then do them a favor, it would put them in a strong position to progress. The ticketing situation was a problem. Few logistical issues with FIFA's mobile app, as a lot of people have the tickets on their phones. Some of the tickets disappeared off of the phones, but there was a resolution center. Has that ever happened to any of you guys? Have your tickets just disappeared from your phone? Big queues outside the center. Problems getting into the stadium, time-consuming. It was a restricted access to the stadium, so multiple checkpoints. hopefully that stuff can get resolved by the next time. Leroy Sané, injury news for Germany, will miss the World Cup opener against Japan on Wednesday after suffering a knee injury. Didn't take part in the final training session in northern Qatar, unclear how long he would be sidelined. They play Spain on Sunday before wrapping up their group matches against Costa Rica December 1st. Suffered, once again, shocked first-round exit in the 2018 World Cup. Also had striker Nicholas Füllkrug out for a full day, for a few days with the flu, but he has since returned to training. So the point, Abby, that you made is one that you got to keep an eye on. Yellow card's not worth it since 2 yellows gives you a game suspension. That is true. That's what you're staring at in this particular tournament. So you have to keep an eye on that as well, and especially with the yellow cards separate from the armband issue. The Qatari ref yesterday, with the yellow cards that he gave out early, 2 in the first 20 to the United States, you have to keep an eye on the yellow card accumulation, because if those same players get yellow cards in match number 2, then they're out for match number 3 when you really need to put a number up against Iran. So, you got to keep an eye on. You have to keep an eye on yellow card accumulation already because of what you're seeing here. So, let me see. Yellow card: Serginho Dest, Weston McKennie, Tim Ream, Kellen Acosta. You have to keep an eye probably on the first 3 more than the 4th one on Acosta. So keep an eye on yellow cards: Dest, McKennie, Ream. Wales also got a yellow card with Gareth Bale, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. And then Mepham got one at 45 plus 3. So no, the yellow card rule is that. No, you don't want to see people suspended, Sean. You really don't. And this was really cool. Tom, I'm glad you brought this back up. Coolest stat of the day: Weah was the first player to score a World Cup goal against Wales since Pele. And then Pele reached out to him on social media. Very, very cool. And for those of you that are looking at, are on the Bird app and you follow, I think it was, who was it? It's like, I forget who it was. It might have been Wes Blankenship, or it might have been 3-year Letterman. The idea that the son of some other country's president is actually scoring goals for the United States. So I thought that was a pretty funny way to look at it. But yeah, first player to score a World Cup goal against Wales since Pele. Very, very cool stuff. Abby, and you're not alone. Shame on FIFA. Most corrupt sports, whatever they are in the world. Countries need to do something about revamping them. That's that when they're the one that is in control of everything on an international scale, it's going to be tough. But yeah, you are not alone, Abby, with not being a fan of that particular organization. But so you got that going for you this morning as well. Let's see. Gossip, rumor, and innuendo. Once again, remember, you've got Poland and Mexico coming up at 11 o'clock Eastern. So for those of you that are watching us live and contributing live, 11 o'clock Eastern gives you Poland and Mexico. We will talk about it, and we'll give you highlights and post-match reaction later this afternoon on the wrap-up show that you can get on the network. And don't forget to download the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android. Your gossip for today, a couple of different places. Liverpool is going to monitor Declan Rice's performance for England at the World Cup before a possible summer bid for the West Ham midfielder. Chelsea are interested in signing Rice and Jude Bellingham, but could have to pay up to £280 million to land them both. That's from the Express. And Serie A sides Inter Milan, Juve battling to sign Chelsea's Christian Pulisic. That comes from Fichajes. Atletico Madrid will allow Joao Felix to leave the club on loan after getting no offers for the forward who's been linked to a move with Manchester United and PSG. So keep an eye on Joao Felix. Everton and Jordan Pickford. Spain duo David Raya of Brentford and Robert Sanchez of Brighton are interesting to Tottenham Hotspurs. They seek a long-term replacement for Hugo Lloris. That comes from our friends at 90 Minutes. Chelsea close to completing a deal for Christopher Nkunku that will bring him from RB Leipzig on the 1st of July. Newcastle is targeting Juve striker from Serbia, Dusan Vlahovic, if they secure qualification for Champions League next year. That's from Calcio Mercato. Real Madrid have no plans to sign Cristiano Ronaldo from Manchester United from Marca. Bournemouth are set to appoint caretaker boss Gary O'Neill as their permanent manager after talks with former Leeds United boss Marcelo Bielsa collapsed. That's from Football Insider. O'Neill wants to make former Blackpool boss Neil Critchley his assistant if he gets the permanent gig. That comes from the three-letter paper, so take the information at your own risk. Spain's Marco Asensio's contract with Real Madrid ends in the summer, but the 26-year-old says he hopes he can agree to a new deal with a decision set to be made after the World Cup from Radio Marca. And this is from Mundo Deportivo, so keep an eye on this. Former Real Madrid boss Zinedine Zidane has agreed to succeed Didier Deschamps as France manager after the World Cup. Long linked to this gig, long wanting this gig. So if Mundo Deportivo is correct, after this World Cup, Deschamps steps away, Zidane steps in. Sean Dyche is interested in speaking to Rangers about their vacant managerial post after they sacked Gio van Bronckhorst. We talked about that sacking yesterday on the show. PSG have sent scouts to watch Gabriel Martinelli at Arsenal, and they're watching him play for Brazil at the World Cup once again from Toto Fichajes. Spurs considering a move for Atalanta's Ruslan Malinovsky. And Bayern Munich have been asked by a number of clubs, including Arsenal, about Leroy Sané's situation, but the Bundesliga champs are not looking to sell the 26-year-old. That's from the international perspective. Let's take a look at the papers domestically. Like I said, we mentioned the news that came across this morning about the contract extension for Pep Guardiola. And obviously that's big news there for them. Gareth Southgate, when asked about next match out, he said England have to play better and that Harry Kane and Harry Maguire are both fine after injuries. So we'll keep an eye on that. When it comes to the wait a second. It's like all the paper stuff disappeared all of a sudden from our friends at Sky. Where's the papers talk? Come on now. We've got the starting lineups that are in, and we will look at those. I think I saw that, surprising no one once again, that Robert Lewandowski is in the starting 11 for Poland against Mexico. Once again, Alvarez, Lozano, and then the Mexico 11. Okay, so here's your Mexico team news. Here's your starting lineup. David Ochoa, Sanchez, Moreno, Montes, Gallardo, Alvarez, Ache, Chavez, Chucky Lozano, Martin, and Vega. Your subs, Talavera, Cota, Araujo, Vasquez, Arteaga, Romo, Rodriguez, Jimenez, Funes Mori, Gutierrez, Pineda, Guardado, Antuna, Alvarado, and Alvarez. Those are your subs. Poland's team news. Wojciech Szczesny in goal. Rest of the starting 11. Cash, Kivior, Glik, Berezhinski, Zalewski, Kryszkowiak, Kaminski, Szymanski, Lewandowski, and Zielinski. So your big names, Lewandowski, Wojciech Szczesny, playing for Poland against Mexico. Your subs include Bednarek, Milic, Świderski, Piatek. So there you go. Skorupski, Grabara, Jedrzejek, Viteska, Bednarek, Bielik, Milik, Szymanski, Krosicki, Świderski, Zurkowski, Piatek, Frankowski, Gumny, and Skorash. So, like I said, the big names, Szczesny and Lewandowski for Poland going up against Mexico, David Ochoa, Chucky Lozano, Ache, lined up with Vega and Martin and Chavez for Mexico. Once again, getting into your juice boxes once again. Numbers have gone wildly toward Mexico since we last talked about it. Mexico at a plus 154. Draw stayed at about 206. Poland in the aggregate now in the composite, courtesy of our friends at Odds Portal, has gone up. They are now close to a plus 220 in the composite. So we'll keep an eye on that. France still at a minus 370. Australia has gone up a little bit for the game at 2 o'clock. Australia is at a plus 1160. And your draw is close to a plus 500. So, Amelia, which one do you want me to spell? Which one do you want me to spell? I full disclosure, one of my best friends, who I love very much, she is Polish, and I have friends who are both Polish and Ukrainian, and family that have crossed over those lines, and so I'm the first person that will sit there and when I'm talking to someone who's Polish, the first thing I will sit there and go is I will go jak se masz. I will ask them how they're doing, and I can do that. And I can ask about a Merry Christmas, and I can pretty much pronounce names, but that's really about it. So, it's kind of challenging with the accent marks and everything. So that was educated guess when it came to the starting 11s there for both Mexico and for Poland coming in with the game once again. That one's at 11 o'clock, and tomorrow. Once again, tomorrow it will be normal show. Hoping to have Poppy Miller join us. She is one of the busiest women in show business, no doubt about it, with her time at Paramount Plus and CBS Sports. So hopefully we can have both her and Dylan Butler on the show tomorrow to talk about stuff. And we'll see if Thursdays with Nico can be on a Wednesday. So we'll keep an eye on your platform and on the app later in the afternoon and here on Twitch. It should be a busy day. Thursday, once again, we're just going to have the wrap-up show. There won't be anything live because obviously I'm traveling to another state to celebrate Thanksgiving, but we will have the wrap-up show in the evening that you can listen to on the app. And back to normal. Morning show on Black Friday might be a power hour-ish kind of a thing, considering what's going on at Wild Heaven, starting at noon. So it will be interesting to see what goes there, but fairly normal except for Thursday. And we welcome back Jarrett Smith into hour number 2.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had to dip off of the real world, and then I just kind of slid away from the real world for a minute because,
as you should,
man, Tunisia, Denmark. Good job, Tunisia.
I know.
Nice job, Tunisia. Proud of you boys.
Yeah, a lot of big saves there. And one of the things that we got into before after you left was Pep Guardiola signing the 2-year contract extension. It's basically a 1 plus an option year, but it keeps him with Manchester City through 2025.
Look, he's been arguably the best in the world. The other guy, I think, in that conversation is in the same damn league, of course. But he's arguably been the best in the world. Now Manchester City gets to keep on trucking for a little while longer. All we do is delay the inevitable for when Pep Guardiola manages New York City FC.
Well, and that was what we were kind of getting into that with, we had a couple of folks that I think it was Airborne DJ and who was it? I'm trying to see who it was that was discussing that idea about bringing, and Emilio, Airborne DJ and Emilio, guessing that Pep is out for taking over the men's national team next year. And I said, but the contract goes until either 24 or 25. So there's still space if you're looking for.
We're not Mexico. They're not going to. In a perfect world, Greg Berhalter is put in the airlock after this World Cup.
Yes.
And you figure out that guy pretty quickly for the next cycle.
Yes.
Because the next cycle is in the United States. Sort of a big deal.
Yes. Sort of a big deal. And, we'll obviously we'll keep an eye on that. We went through the team news and the starting 11s for Poland and Mexico. And one of the things that I noticed as folks are going through their matchups, Miguel Herrera is a part of the Telemundo broadcast team. He is pitch side at Estadio 974 for the Mexico matches. And so he is right now.
God, that's perfect.
Yeah, he is pitch side staring at the Mexican team doing all of their toe touchies and warm-ups right now.
Oh, future Atlanta United legend Miguel Herrera.
So,
it's perfect.
Yes.
He's just sitting there having a staring contest with Tata. And I dare say that's a better fight than people will give it credit for. Like in basically the soccer version of "Come Meet Me in Temecula." Tata Martino is not exactly from like the greatest part of Argentina.
Yes.
He will fight you and he will win.
Yes, and it will not. Will not
That
be.
would be a very fun fight.
Yes.
And I would pay obscene amounts of money to see Tata Martino closing in on retirement decide to just straight up fight Miguel Herrera.
Yes. So we've got that one coming up at 11:00, and when it comes to the match from early this morning and from the match that everyone was watching here in the U.S. yesterday, like I said, I maintain that it's going to be really what happens when Wales plays Iran and when the U.S. plays Iran. It literally is going to come up to who is going to have the largest goal difference in those games and not get, not have Seth Rollins wander by in the England match with those two teams and really put your goal difference at a massive disadvantage. I mean, it's going to come down to Iran and mitigating your damage against England now.
It is worst case scenario is you lose this game, Wales wins, Wales sits on 4 points, England sits on 6 points, and all they have to do pretty much is just play out a draw, and they both go through. You don't want to live in that world. The chaos theory here, is Wales wins, Wales sits on 4 points, you get a draw, you sit on 2 points. England sits on 4 points, and then Wales and England, both sitting on 4 points, decide to just basically pull out the dull knives and go at each other.
Yes.
Because in that instance, you're sitting both of them on 4 points. USA sitting on 2 points against Iran, who would love nothing more than to play spoiler because, my God, the political overtones of USA-Iran are going to be they're going to be deafening.
Yes.
Yeah, give me a situation like I don't want that situation necessarily because that's really tricky for the United States. But you end up with a situation there where, if they played out a draw at 5 points apiece, then USA did manage to beat Iran.
Mm-hmm.
Then you'd have 3 teams on 5 points. And yeah, let's make this as drunk as we possibly can because this group that we're looking at right now that's about to play with Mexico and Poland is going to be in the same boat. Like, I don't expect Saudi Arabia to run the table here. But because they have those 3 points, they got off the line pretty damn fast here.
Mm-hmm.
This group's going to be weird.
Yes.
And it's going to be funny.
Yes. So
I think Argentina will be fine, but it's going to be funny.
Yes, no question. Here's your standings, just so you know what's going on. And Netherlands, Ecuador, Senegal, Qatar. We talked about Group A. Netherlands and Ecuador, first ones in with points. Senegal and Qatar have none. Group B, one match through. England's at 3 points. USA and Wales at 1 point. Iran with a goal difference of -4. Group C, Saudi Arabia, Argentina. Saudi Arabia on top of the group. Enjoy the moment for what it is, Jared. I've got a question coming up in a bit. And Poland and Mexico coming up once again at the top of the hour as we are discussing things here. Denmark and Tunisia are 1 point each at the top of Group D. France and Australia is your late game today. So we're playing a mix of Group C and Group D. When it comes to upsets, a lot of folks are sitting there saying that the Saudi Arabia win over Argentina is one of the greatest upsets in World Cup history of all time. Where does this one rank for you?
It's up there. It's okay. We got to weigh these.
Yes,
because the weight is different in group stage versus knockout.
Mm-hmm.
If Saudi Arabia had knocked Argentina out in a knockout game, then yeah, you're looking at probably the biggest of all time.
Mm-hmm.
But group stage, it's big, but it's not as gravitational.
Okay. One of the other things that I got into earlier was that yesterday, the four of the longest matches in World Cup history have been played, the first 4 matches this year. 14 minutes and 10 minutes. And this is something I don't think we've had the chance to discuss yet. Is the 24 minutes of added time in the Iran match. And I haven't had the chance to discuss with you on the show what went down with the Iranian keeper, with the concussion protocol, the clash of heads, the squirting of the water bottle by the team captain into the face of the Iranian keeper when he was back on his feet the first time, and then the reality that he should not have been out there after that first contact and that first appraisal. But they kept him out there for another 5 minutes, I think, before he went back down and was done. It was once again something where you sit there and you're shaking your head at physios for a team because of an evaluation. And yeah, I know it was in the first 10 to 15 minutes of a match in your World Cup, in your first match in the World Cup, but he should have been removed then and there. I think that it was once again yet another mistake by a team that wanted to keep their starting keeper in.
I mean, there's a lot of pressure on all of this, because there's pressure on you as an athlete to power through stuff. Like we were told growing up, tough it out, walk it off.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that, you know, you hear growing up, like, are you hurt or are you injured?
Mm-hmm.
And that does still matter, I think, to people in the back of their minds. You know, they think about, you know, am I really that bad? Like, I can do it. No, I can be tough. I'm not going to let my team down, that sort of thing. I think that still does permeate inside of people's heads. On top of that, you have these team doctors, and even if you had like neutral doctors, there's a lot of pressure to get it done accurately, but also get it done quickly because, yeah, you're burning time in the game. So I think there's a lot of discussion about it that you're trying to get it done quickly as much as you're trying to get it done accurately.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be tough to diagnose in that moment. You're kind of up against the clock. You know, people are talking and moving around you. Referees are probably trying to tell you, you know, figure it out now or get him off the field. But it's especially tricky when it's a goalkeeper. It's not an outfield player where you can just pull him off the field.
Yeah.
And, okay, we'll play with 10 for a minute while we figure this out. Like, goalkeeper being out is kind of a big deal.
Yes.
So it's tricky, man. Like I said, it's tricky in that moment. Now, that's where the concussion sub comes in of, hey, get your other goalkeeper. The second he goes down, get your other goalkeeper loose. Start getting loose.
Yeah.
Because we should be able to concussion sub him while we check this guy out. Because if we can't figure it out in 2 minutes on the field, then we need to get him off. We need to get him analyzed on a concussion sub. And then you set your time limit, whatever it might be, 5-10 minutes. Hey, can he come back in? No? Cool. This guy is your sub. Can he come back in? Yes? Cool. Put him back in. Other guy. Go sit back down. Thank you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's tricky in the moment. I think it's one of those that, as I'm sitting here laying that out, it's really easy to say, sitting here in Georgia, watching this from halfway around the world.
Yeah.
As opposed to being there in the moment, being his teammates, being captain, being the player himself, being the doctors, being the referee. It's got to be a lot going on in that moment. 14 minutes of stoppage time was funny to me outside of concussion, which wasn't funny.
Right.
But 14 minutes, I read it like, I was looking at like, did someone in graphics just completely screw up? Did they fat finger? And I looked at the keyboard because have you ever done that where you look at a typo and the first thing you do is look at the keyboard and see, now how did they make that typo? Oh, those keys are next to each other. That makes sense.
Yes.
But I saw them like 14. I'm like, well, 1 and 4 aren't next to each other, except they are if you're using a number pad on the right side of, a bigger keyboard. Like, did somebody fat finger the 1 and the 4 here? No, it's 14 minutes. Okay, I guess we're doing it.
And then it was 10 in the second half. But yeah, your 4 longest.
Yeah, it makes sense though, because you had a ton of goals and a ton of subs. Like, again, it's an 8-goal game. Like, you're gonna get extra time, especially. And it can be important for Iran in that point. Like, it's 6-2. I get it. Iran's going to lose that game. They're not going to score 4 goals in 10 minutes of stoppage time. They're not the 2016 Atlanta Falcons.
No.
Like England's not the 2016 Atlanta Falcons. They're not
True.
going to blow that. But for the point of goal differential, it could be a very big deal. In those 10 minutes, what if Iran had scored another goal or two? And yeah, England still wins by multiple goals. They scored a ton of goals, but their difference drops, and Iran cuts down that difference. And it could be very important because of what happens Friday.
Yes. Also, yesterday the news dropped, and once again, since you had the real world poking in to your soccer life yesterday, I forgot that we haven't had the chance to discuss the sacking of Gio van Bronckhorst over at Rangers. And as our resident expert of the SPFL, you kind of figured it was an inevitability. And so what do? They kind of do it behind the curtain of the World Soccer Competition.
My favorite part was the comments of like, we would like to be on the record that, we thank him for his work. The weirdest worded statement I think I have ever seen out of a country, or out of a club, I should say.
Well,
he came into a really weird situation because he came into Rangers as Steven Gerrard leaves. Steven Gerrard pulls what basically amounted to a Brendan Rodgers. Like, he leaves in the middle of the night. And Gio comes in. They get through group stage. They're of Europa League. And they just kind of keep going. Like, against all odds. They just kind of keep going. Kind of flat in domestic. They kind of turn things around a bit, but then they go play Celtic and get slapped like 3-0.
Yes.
Then they beat Celtic in a cup final, in a very weird cup final. Play 2 really tough draws against Celtic, and they stayed close until like the last 4 games of the season before it was done. It was after the split. Like, it was impressive work. And then to get through Europa League final, but man, it wasn't working this year. Like, they had Celtic had a really bad Europe. Rangers had a worse one. Rangers had, I think statistically, based on goals, the worst showing in Europe in Champions League history. It was awful. And then they were starting to get knocked around. By by some of the lower teams in Scotland.
Right.
Livingston giving them trouble. St. Johnstone giving them trouble. It was time. I don't know what they do now. I know a couple of people in the Discord have talked about, bring back Stevie G. Man, I don't know. Stevie G might not be a touchable commodity right now.
Do you want that smoke?
I don't know if you want to touch that right now with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
I don't know where they go from here because they're, I think, 8 or 9 points off Celtic. And if you want to criticize a lot of it, though, you criticize the boardroom at Rangers because they didn't have as good of a summer transfer window as I thought they should have. Coming off of a Europa League final, I thought that's a good opportunity and a good excuse to spend a little more, maybe overspend a little bit. I mean, yeah, you're going to lose a couple guys going south, but really didn't make that team better. And yeah, so Gio is the sacrificial lamb. I don't know what they do next. Scotland's not over by any stretch because Celtic have shown some tendencies to play flat. They still can't finish consistently. They got a little Atlanta in them in that they will create a ton of chances and just cannot finish. And when they do, a lot of times it's like 88th minute. Giacomakis scores, or Kyogo scores in the 90th minute. They're leaving it late a lot. So, I mean, they're not exactly running away with it yet. So maybe Rangers feels like they can still go after this. But, yeah, man, there's a lot to unpack with it all. And the Rangers situation is going to be very interesting. And the January window is going to be very interesting for them. Because I want to see what they sell and what maybe they buy and who they could get for it. Someone from the Scotsman did an opinion piece of go get Bielsa. I'm like, okay, please send Bielsa to Scotland.
Yeah, well, and Bielsa apparently had discussions with Bournemouth, and that fell through, and it looks like Gary O'Neill's going to be named permanent manager.
David Martindale is another name that's been dragged to in the tabloids about it. For those of you that don't know, David Martindale is the manager at Livingston.
Yes.
David Martindale served like 5 years in jail for, I think, mob-related or gang-related activity.
Yeah.
I think it was like an organized crime activity. But he got out and basically started working at the grounds. I think just doing like volunteer groundskeeping work in Livingston at the Spaghetti Hut, Tony Macaroni Arena.
Yes.
And worked his way up and took all of his licenses and eventually became their interim head coach and their permanent head coach. And he's done pretty damn well. Livingston's in 4th right now on the table, last I checked. They've been good. He would be an interesting name. I don't know if you go with that. But Scotland does love to trade their managers around. Like, Derek McInnes is back at Kilmarnock, and Goodwin, before he went to Aberdeen, was working in the league as well. They love to jump. They love to just trade off their managers around. It's got a very NFL feel to it. I don't know. I think they'll go bigger than Martindale because I think they need to make a bigger splash than that.
Yes.
Although I think he's a solid manager. I think they'll go with a bigger splash than that.
All right. What are you up to tomorrow? In theory, we might be joined by Poppy Miller and Dylan Butler. What are you up to tomorrow?
I think I will try and be joined by Poppy Miller and Dylan Butler.
Okay. So we'll see when Poppy wants to join. Dylan, I think, is going to join at his normal 10 o'clock slot. So, Jarrett, hopefully we have helped your escape from the real world for a couple of minutes today on 2 separate occasions. We'll catch up with you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
All right. Jarrett Smith, everybody, hanging out and escaping the real world when he has his opportunities. I finally found the other papers before we go. Daily Express, Chelsea and Arsenal tracking Porto's Brazilian winger Pepe, but may have to pay the £65 million release clause. Manchester United believe that Alejandro Garnacho is going to sign that new deal in the not-too-distant future after stepping up talks with his reps. England star Jude Bellingham is going to make his decision over his next transfer move based on gut feeling and a club's Champions League status. Everton could be set to lose out on selling Dele Alli permanently with loan club Besiktas, who are unimpressed by his performances, according to reports. Avoiding the 3 and the 4-letter paper, as we always do. In The Guardian, Alex Fletcher left intensive care after the Bath City forward sustained a serious head injury during a National League match earlier this month. Once again, avoiding the 3-letter paper. And The Athletic, Alexei Sorokin, part of Russia's delegation at a World Cup opening ceremony, believes his nation should be at the tournament. Sorry, you're probably the only one that thinks that. You and your delegation are the only ones that think that. And maybe a select few oligarchs and such, but I would disagree. Football Association Wales investigating reports that Welsh supporters had their rainbow bucket hats removed by stadium security ahead of the country's match against the U.S. on Monday evening. I don't know if you guys saw it, but Grant Wall tried to go into the stadium that he was covering the match for, and he was told that he had to change his shirt. Once again, he published, he was given the set of guidelines when it came to what you as a security force are supposed to enforce when it comes to folks coming into the stadium. And of course, once again, that line has shifted. I'm not surprised. Daily Telegraph, eyebrows raised when officials claimed 41,721 spectators were in attendance for Senegal's 2-0 defeat to Holland, despite the capacity of Al Tumama being just 40,000. Keep an eye on those numbers. And apparently the capacity of 80,000 was for the Argentina match this morning was also surpassed. So standing room only so far for all of the events at the stadia in Qatar. And good for the host country that they're posting numbers that a lot of folks are going to their matches. I'm seeing a lot of empty seats. Daily Mirror, Darwin Nunez from Liverpool limped out of training just before Uruguay's World Cup opener with an ankle issue, able to return after spending time with the medical team. Jose Mourinho at Roma reportedly interested in signing Barcelona defender Hector Bellerin in the January window. Ghana's squad had to evacuate their Doha hotel on Sunday afternoon following a suspected bomb scare. From the Times, top clubs should continue to receive a bigger slice of Champions League money based on historical performances. The chief exec of the European Club Association has insisted. France coach Didier Deschamps has defended his decision not to call up a replacement for Karim Benzema, insisted his squad can cope with their injury list. Keep an eye on that. Serbia's state-backed broadcaster is using TV rights to the Premier League as a part of a political campaign to crush independent media and silence opposition in the country, according to government critics. Refs are going increasingly reluctant to that is a note on cricket, so we're not going to talk about that. Daily Record QPR chief Les Ferdinand insists he won't stand in Michael Beale's way if he's serious about a return to Rangers. Greg Stewart has told Rangers not to waste another minute after urging his old side to make their move for Michael Beale. Front runner to replace Van Bronckhorst, and they've arranged a friendly clash with Swansea next month. So that's all the news that's fit to print and all the news that's fit to talk about so far. Once again, for those of you watching live on Twitch, good to see you today. And a reminder that at the top of the hour, it is Mexico, and it is their time to go up against Poland. It is going to be fun in the group stage. Mexico and Poland. Numbers still Mexico basically at a plus 150. Poland and the draw, same neighborhood at a plus 215 to 210 to plus 215. France and Australia coming up at 2 o'clock today. Later on in the afternoon, it is the wrap-up show where you're going to hear highlights, and you're going to hear from some of the coaches as they have made their way through match day 3. And we'll get you ready for match day 4 with Juice Box is there as well. 4 matches going on. 5 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Eastern, 11 and 2 o'clock in the afternoon with Belgium and Canada. And do not be surprised also, in addition to our wrap-up show, on occasions where we are shorthanded or on holiday, that you hear from our friends at the Fired Up Network up in Toronto as they give their thoughts on what happened during the day in the host country for the international competition. So, and especially after that Belgium match. So we'll definitely have them plugged into the network so you get to listen to them as well on the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android. So for all of us here at SDH, before we go, let me do one more thing. This is way out of the line of order traditionally when we're doing things. But since I have the piece of paper in my hand and I'm trimming the numbers down to 20 and I'm finding our rock cut, let's read the promo before we go. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's a Lemonize service. Lemonize deodorizes enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos. They've created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including those like pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process. It makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers. Kind of the environment, offering a green way to go about getting rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever, different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either under the sink or above us in the cupboard, because when you reach under the sink or above you in the cupboard, you get said masking agent and you spray it in the air. There's a reason they call it a masking agent. All you're doing is masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem all the way down to the molecule like our friends at Lemonize do. Pricing one of 2 ways, very, very easy, cubic feet or parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you, offering results in 24 hours or less. Any questions that you may have, frequently asked or otherwise, one place you need to go is the website. This is where I pick up my pen. Lemonize.com, but do us a favor, after the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so that they can help you with your issues. Your full homework assignment, ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta, Lemonize.com /Atlanta. For free, clean, fresh air, Lemonize service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. Music to fade, and it'll crash when we hit 0 because there is no such thing as a slow fade. Kill the loop, kill the music. The promo is over, basically in about a minute and a half, which is traditionally what it takes. So tomorrow, looking like Dylan Butler coming in at his normal 10 o'clock slot from MLS Soccer and MLSsoccer.com and OSDB Sports. Hopefully we can grab the comet that is known as Poppy Miller by the tail and have her drop by for a little while and talk about stuff. That's the official term. So hopefully we'll have a filled show with you tomorrow, and we'll get you ready for all the action that is going to happen at 5, 8, 11, and 2. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We'll be back at it tomorrow. You can listen to this on the app, Soccer Down Here, available iOS and Android, and we'll chop up the show and give you the Bart segment and the show in its entirety posted to the network later today. So for all of us here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for hanging out with us. as you always do during the days of the week, Monday through Friday, and especially during the international competition, where we try not to mention the host country unless it slips our tongue. So we'll be back at it tomorrow at 9:05. Thanks for hanging out with us. Since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. Mucha Platiel, played safe. We'll see you tomorrow.